So this past weekend, we repainted our entryway, and I'm sure most of you know when you repaint an area, you've got to accessorize it with something new and fresh. So for us, we wanted to add a key holder. So I started looking online, and there's no shortage of key holders out there. I just didn't feel like paying $100 for one of the nicer looking ones. So I made my own, and I came up with this design, which I think looks pretty cool. It was very easy to do, and best of all, it cost me less than $10 in material. So I'm going to show you how I made that, but before we get started, please take a second and hit that like and subscribe button, and hit that hype button too. It helps push this video out there for more people just like you to see it. Now let's get to the build. All right, for this little project, I'm going to be using some cutoffs from some poplar that I was using to redo my kitchen cabinets. And they're not very big, you don't need a whole lot for this project, but the first thing I need to do is mill these down, so I'm going to head over to the joiner. Of course, you can skip this step if you've already got dimensional lumber. As you can see, there's quite a nasty bow in this piece, but nothing a couple passes on the joiner can't fix up. I think the knot in this is going to look nice. Hopefully it stays intact when it goes through the planer. And it came out perfect. Now I'm just going to square up the edges on my table saw. All right, so I have a general idea how I want this to go together. I'm going to dado a slot through here to hold the shelf, and I'm going to round off some of these corners just to give it a little shape. But I think I'm going to stain this 2 different colors as well, just to give it a contrast and a little detail on one side of them. Just by running the kerf of my blade, I think will look nice. The kerf of my table saw, that is. So I'm going to round these corners first, and then I'm going to apply some stain. We'll see how it looks. Yeah. So now I'm just going to use my miter gauge to make my dado for the shelf. And I could put a dado stack in there, but it's only one small cut. And when I milled this down, I really didn't care how thick it ended up being. So I don't want to mess around with spacers and that on my dado stack. So this will just be quicker and easier. Now I'm just gonna make a mark at both ends of my board so that when I run my tape to separate the stain, I got a nice straight line. I'm not doing it down the center, I'm gonna offset it a bit, but you can do whatever you like. I don't know which one's gonna look better. I don't never know until I make it. And even then, I still don't know because I didn't make the other one. So as long as I'm happy with this one, I guess that's all that matters. For the dark stain, I'm gonna be using Jacobin. Is Jacobin even a real thing? I mean, it's gotta be, right? If not, that'd be a pretty random thing to name a color. I'm going to have to Google what a Jacobin is after this. Random woodworking thoughts. And I'm purposely going to go light against the tape here because I expect to get a little bit of bleed through with this oil-based stain. But I got a plan for that. Just you wait and see. All right, let's see how this turned out. Turned out pretty good. All right, so we'll just tape the other side. And for this side, I'm going to tape over everything that I just stained because when I run my table saw through to make my cuts, I'm hoping that that tape will stay there and allow me to stain in between the grooves to match this. But we'll see. I hate starting tape. I hate starting tape. But when I get it started, it's really, really great. And for the second color, I'm going to use a lighter stain, which is Special Walnut. Hey, I wonder if there's such a thing as a Special Walnut. I mean, it'd have to be, right? Or else that'd be a pretty random thing to name a color. Does anybody else do the old one-hander with the gloves? Like, I'm just doing a little bit of stain. I only need one glove. No sense wasting two. 9 times out of 10, I get stain on my other hand. But I feel good because I saved about 50 cents. Now for the grooves in the face, I'm just going to lower my blade so that it's a very shallow cut. Maybe 1/8 of an inch, so. And then I'm going to use this tape line. And that's where my first cut's going to be. And the idea behind this is that if there is a little bit of bleeding between the two stain colors, I'll cut it out and give it a nice sharp line. And once I get my first cut, I'll move my fence 1/4 of an inch at a time and make the other cuts till I get out to the edge. All right, so the tape stayed on pretty good. It's a little frayed on some of the edges, so I'm still gonna be really careful when I stain. I've come up with this idea just to kind of wrap a little piece of paper towel around one of the foam brush handles. With the sponge on, it was too thick, but the plastic part itself is pretty much the perfect size, so I'm just gonna try that. Oh yeah. Oh no. This could take some time. Oh. That worked pretty darn good. Now I'm going to put 2 keyhole slots, one on the top, one on the bottom on this to hang it. So I just found center of my board, set my fence to halfway, and I'll do a couple drop cuts. Where's my glue brush? There it is. Where's my glue brush? Now, just need a little glue and some clamps. Now all I have left to do is to install these little hooks I ordered off Amazon. And I'll leave a link in the description for these. They're not very expensive at all. And the screws that came with them were just a little too short, given the kerf marks that I made. They're not going to bite into a whole lot, so I found a couple other screws I had in the shop, and they're just a little longer, and I feel better about using them. Where these are smaller screws, I chose to pre-drill and then tighten them up by hand, just to avoid anything from breaking off and getting stuck in there, like someone I know has done before. And with that, the key holder's finished. I'm happy with the way it turned out. I think this looks just as good as something you could have bought off one of those fancy sites. And best of all, it was only a couple dollars. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Till next time.